It's been about 2 months since things finally settled down. Moon was busy trying to build a snowman. I ended up asking Noah how her classes were going, and she told me she's already moving on to the advanced lightning stuff next semester. I guess I felt a bit of pride right then. I didn't expect her to get ahead that fast, but then again, she's always been better at teaching herself than I ever was. I figured I'd give her a head start. I tried to explain that magic feels different depending on who's using it. You know, that massive gap between us and dragons. I'm not sure she really got the weight of it, but she was definitely listening. I ended up showing her how the spell actually works. I didn't say much. I just took out a target to show her the power behind it. I could tell she was impressed, but yeah, I had to get a bit serious with her about the risks. It's a dangerous move if you aren't careful, and I really didn't want her trying it alone and getting hurt. Then she asked me what the move was called. I told her it was Lightning Rush. She seemed pretty confused by the name, and honestly, looking back, I didn't really have a good explanation for why I called it that. But yeah, we headed back in after that. I'm just glad I can be the one teaching her these things now. Anyway, my wife finally made it out to where we were. She's about 4 months along now, so yeah, she's moving a lot slower than usual. She went straight over to help Moon with that snowman, and I just stood back and let them do their thing. It's kind of funny. Even with how tired she must have been, she was still using her power just to keep the snow from falling over. But then they realized the thing didn't have a nose. So I walked over to see what the holdup was. And I mean, out of nowhere, she pulls a vegetable out of her sleeve. I have no idea why she even had that on her. She even had a backup ready just to mess with me. I didn't even bother arguing. Some fights just aren't winnable. I was actually getting pretty worried about her being out in the cold for so long though. I kept thinking she might slip or something, but she just brushed it off and started complaining about how the maids have been watching her like a hawk. I felt bad for her, honestly. She just wanted to have some actual fun for once. I asked her what she wanted to do next, but then the head maid showed up and yeah, the mood just died instantly. The second she heard that voice, she just froze. It was over. The maid started going off on her for being reckless, and she actually tried to blame me for tricking her into admitting she was out there to play. I just held up my hands. I wasn't getting dragged into that. They ended up escorting her back to the castle like a kid getting caught skipping school. She was pouting the whole way back, and I just told her to go get some rest. Anyway, the last few weeks were actually pretty quiet. I spent most of my time just obsessing over those prenatal books and trying to make sure my wife was eating right. Honestly, I think I was just trying to keep myself busy. Seeing her soften up like that, I don't know. It just made me realize how much I'd actually committed to this life. Then June 29th happened. I can still feel how heavy the air was that morning. Once things started moving, I was just stuck in that hallway, pacing until my legs actually ached. I kept thinking about this line I read, how that kind of pain is like breaking dozens of bones at once. And there I am, supposedly this great warrior, just walking in circles while she's in there going through hell. The girls were a mess too. They were trying so hard to be brave, but eventually, they just broke. Moon actually looked at me and said she didn't even want a new sibling if it meant her mom had to hurt like that. It gutted me. I just held them both and promised her, I really swore to her, that once this was over, we'd all go to the beach. No one missing. I'd barely gotten the words out before the whole place just blew apart. 1 second I'm making a promise. The next, the walls are gone. I didn't even think. I just threw myself over the kids. When I finally looked out, the sanctuary was just gone. Fire everywhere. Constantine's clan had somehow bypassed everything. The kids were terrified, obviously, so I just covered their eyes. I didn't want that to be the last thing they saw. Then our soldiers started stumbling in, and then the news hits. Constantine's people are actually doing this. They didn't just attack, they waited until she was at her weakest. Honestly, that's what's sticking with me right now. How planned out this whole thing feels. I just crash into the delivery room. The girls run straight to her, and I think seeing them is the only thing keeping her conscious at this point. She looks completely spent, but when she grabs my hand, I've never felt a grip like that. She doesn't even care about the sanctuary or the war. She's just begging me to get our daughters out of here. So, I promise her right then that nobody, and I mean nobody, is getting through that door. I guess we both know what that means because she tells me exactly where the key to my old gear is. Second drawer of the desk. I think, deep down, she always knew a day like this was coming, even if I wanted to believe it wouldn't. Going into that drawer, it feels like stepping back into a life I'd tried to bury. But looking at Moon, I don't have a choice. Noah asks if I'm coming back, and I just have to remind her of our deal about the beach. I tell her she's the big sister now, that she has to be the one to look after her mom while I'm out there. She actually stops crying and just nods. That's the hardest part of this whole day, honestly, leaving them there. But by the time I walk back out, the dad part of me is just gone. I just want to break anyone who even looks at that room. I tell everyone to get ready. And yeah, I think they see it in my eyes. The Slayer is back.